They're highly respected people, great people. And we work really well together. We have our deal done with Iran, and it should be successful. It goes to a second stage, which I think will be actually easier. I didn't want to attack them last week, but we had no choice. And we did it twice, actually. We're doing it the third time. We were able to not have to do that. But we have a deal that's a fair deal. It's a good deal. We are not investing any money in Iran, by the way. The rumor got out there is it was ridiculous. We have the right to go in someday and do something, or if somebody wants to do something, but we are not investing any money. We have no obligation to invest any money in Iran. Working with Qatar and the people of Qatar was really a pleasure. They were tough, they were strong. They are the closest to Iran physically, so with other countries I noticed I had to travel about 45 minutes to get there. With you could walk right across the border, so you were in a more dangerous position. But I do have to say you fought and you helped us, and with great bravery. So I just want to compliment you on that, and you'll always be with me.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure seeing you all. Thank you for your leadership in this very, very important and critical time in the Middle East. And I think, as you mentioned, Mr. President, this is a very important deal. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I think, in this one, if we continue like that, Mr. President, I think we can achieve and do great in the region. So it's going to be very important for the region, very important for everyone as well. So we are here to help whenever, friends and sisters who are always here to help. There's also our bilateral relationship, Mr. President. Since your historic visit in Doha last year, our trade partnership is going to reach $1.2 trillion. This is huge. We have a lot of great investments that we're very proud of as well in the U.S. and also American companies investing in us. So overall, we are very, very proud and very happy about this relationship. And I think also, once again, thank you very much for your leadership. I think it was a very difficult time, but you took the right position.
Qatar is going to be investing much more than $1 trillion in the United States. We have over 18, it's going to be 19.4 or something for you figures out. We set a record. There's never been a record. No country in history has had that kind of investment. We'll be having almost 19.2 trillion dollars invested in the United States. The record was 10 years ago from another country when it was hot. We are the hottest country in the world right now. But Qatar has been a great investor. We really rekindled ourselves when we met with you last year. Probably 13, 14, that was a good trip. And so it was good. That was a great trip, and we established. We've been friends for a long time. We've known each other for a long time. But Qatar is investing tremendous amounts of money in our country, and we appreciate that. Our country's we're building more factories, AI. We're leading AI by a lot. We're building automobile factories. We're building more than we've ever been in the history of our country. No country has ever done what we're doing right now. No country has ever been able to do. And those factories will be opening over the next year and a half. Some are already open very soon. The pharmaceutical companies are coming back. The car companies are coming back from Germany, from Japan, so many other places. Mexico, Canada, they're all coming back. We lost them foolishly years ago because of the presidents that didn't know what they were doing. They should have nothing else. They're all coming back in beautiful, brand new, gleaming factories. In fact, there are a couple of big old plants. And they said, "You're going to use that plant?" And they said, "No, we're building brand new, we're knocking it down." Everything's built brand new, beautiful jobs. And the auto business, we're going to bring back probably, we lost 57% of our automobile business. I think we're going to bring it mostly back. And the chips, the king of chips, and then it got stolen from us. We went from being the king to having basically no chip business. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden was a disaster. Just a stupid thing to do. He handed billions and billions of dollars to people, but they didn't move it back. But we have a different system. We have a system that if they don't build, they get paid tariffs. They have to pay tariffs of upwards of 200%. They don't have to pay anything for a little while, but they don't get their plant built. Then we would have, I think, 50% of the chip industry by the time I leave office. So maybe more. They're building mostly coming out of Taiwan, but they're building in a lot of them, for whatever reason, in Arizona, Texas. But we'll have 50%, maybe more than that, of the chip industry. We'll be making almost all of our pharmaceuticals. So likewise that, if they don't build, they'll have 150 to 200% tariff to pay. If they do build, they have no tariff. So our country has never done anything like this. And just, I want to mention Iran. We appreciate the relationship we've had over the short period of time with Iran. And the primary thing is, we can talk about Iran all day long. We're not investing any money. We have the right to it. We're not investing any money. We didn't pay for it like Obama did. He paid billions of dollars. He paid $1.7 billion from an airplane, all green cash. It was crazy. I watched that. I couldn't believe it. But the one thing that's happening that's of note, frankly, the only thing that really matters to me, is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. And it says it loud and clear. They're not going to develop it. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to do anything with it. And if they do, they suffer unbelievable consequences. Not just a little bit like, I won't even tell you the consequences, but the consequences are the ultimate consequences. And with that being said, I hope we have a very good relationship. But the biggest thing is they will not have a nuclear weapon. And that's the reason I got in, and that's the reason I agreed to sign. And we originally had, Marco was with me, they originally wrote that we will not develop a nuclear weapon. I said, no, you're not going to develop it, you're not going to buy either. So we have, that took another couple of days of time. Everything was big. It was ridiculous. So they will not develop, purchase, buy, or any other thing. They're not going to acquire a nuclear weapon. If they do, all hell will rain down on them. They're not going to do that. Now, you talk about regime change. I never cared about regime change. Never part, but I guess you have regime change. Because you know better than anybody. The first group, they're all dead. The second group, they're dead. A part of the third group is gone. And we're dealing with people that I think are very rational people. And they were nice to deal with. They were strong people, smart people. I think actually they're smarter than the first and second group. But they're not radicalized, and they're looking to help their country. So, again, I don't believe regime change. I've watched regime changes for years. They never work. But that's it. It just happened. I can tell you, this is a country where the Emir is so respected, and the Prime Minister is so respected by the people. And that's the way a country should run. It should run out of respect, not of fear. As you know, at least 42,000 protesters were killed. In protesting. The wrestler, they had the big event at the White House the other day, the UFC, and they were all talking about he was a great fighter. And he was hung with his two friends because he spoke something about the regime. It was tough stuff. So we're very happy that we're involved. We're very, very impressed with Qatar and the way they handle things. Because they were really in the line. They were in the front line. They were being shot at just about as much as anybody, but you were a lot closer. You were right there. Literally like a block. And every other place they have to take a plane and they can walk. So they were really in the line. And I just want to comment that I just want to really congratulate you on bravery. I think you get congratulated for bravery, because bravery is something you either have or you don't, and you never know until you test it. But do a testing, and you have great bravery. Thank you very much. I have a, well, we had one, but we had a good meeting. We're meeting him later. We had a very good meeting. Look, Russia should make a deal. Russia lost tremendous amounts of people, and so as Ukraine. Last month, they lost 35,000 soldiers before the war. Because on a monthly basis, they average 25,000 people. Mostly soldiers, young, beautiful people. And it's crazy what's going on there. But we had a meeting, and we'll see. And I spoke with President Putin on Sunday. And it's really the same thing. They just keep going, fighting, losing soldiers. They lose so many soldiers. This is not since World War II was anything like this. I said in 8 wars. This was the one I thought was going to be the easiest thing. Because there's a lot of dislike between the two leaders. But yeah, I'm meeting with him again later on today. Well, look, now we're focused on the land. It's going to be in the back, in the rear view there. We have nothing to do with it. We sell weapons to them. We're even doing it. Obama gave $350 billion worth of aid, which is crazy. The European Union pays us full price for weapons. But it's not that. It has no impact on us. I don't know we sell weapons. We're thousands of miles away. But the only reason I don't like to see 25,000 young people die every month. Every month, 25,000 people die. Young people, they're just starting their life. They go to this front and they get blown up. And Ukraine is losing a lot of people too. And the whole thing is ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm going to do whatever I can. If they refuse to what would it be? Well, we talked to them about it, and we see. I will say the majority of that took place during the first and second regimes, much more so than that. It was much more severe. It's a terrible thing. Yeah, do you have a question? Well, I think they'd be good. I mean, I can tell you from our standpoint, we have a lot of opportunities all over the world. But the Emir is right next door. I think they're at a lot of oil. I think they'll be good. First, they're going to have to prove themselves, I think, before any of us are on it. But I hope they do well. But one thing, whether they do well or poorly, they can't have a nuclear weapon. It's a big thing. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would have blown up Israel, they would have blown up the Middle East, and they probably would have taken a shot at us. We would have gotten them first, I think. But they would have done tremendous damage. Had we not canceled the Obama nuclear deal, the JCPOA, we would have had them having a nuclear weapon 5 years ago. You know, that expired. That was a road to a nuclear weapon. It was the dumbest deal I've ever seen other than NAFTA. NAFTA maybe was even better. But just in terms of a bad deal for us. We paid them billions and billions of dollars. We paid nothing. We paid them billions of dollars. And it was a disaster. I terminated that on the first. Had I not terminated, and we had why, we terminated it. My second term, we sent in the B-2 bombers, and we terminated their, I call it the nuclear investor, enrichment area, and totally effective. And I remember on CNN, which is fake news, but CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't that effective. So the Atomic Energy just reported that it was one of the most devastating bombings that there was. The whole mountain collapsed in fact. And frankly, to go get it, we're going to go get it. But to go get it is a big deal. Because they say only China and us have the equipment retrieving it. The whole mountain was collapsed in fact. We have cameras on it. You could make the case why you need a valve because it's not very valuable. It's, it's probably half a million. It's not very valuable, but I think psychologically.
Can I just answer you in the last couple of months or weeks? I think that wasn't our. We were not interested in, what other opportunities, economic opportunities in Iran. Our interest was to first of all to find a deal to establish war. This is our main target. And looking at the economy and opportunities, I'm sure there can be huge opportunities. And so, as I said, this is a very important momentum to keep working like that to reach us finding a deal. After that, Iran will be, of course, open for any kind of investment. And I'm sure there are going to be huge opportunities. But to be honest, we never thought that, our target, was to try to find a deal.
We're going to need something because we're blown up. And, you could make the case, I used to make the case that, like a week ago I said, now I'm still going to agree with that, if we left, we did a good job. If we just left, we did a good job. Because it would take them 15, 20 years maybe to rebuild. And we were going to do a much bigger job if the agreement was signed. We would have taken it to a level. And if we did that, they would never, ever, I believe, be able to rebuild it. Too much.
What are the expectations for Israel? Can this deal survive Israel?
It can, and consider that the minor war, the big one, but we have that little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah. And, I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others. He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout, but he's done an amazing job of pulling it together. And he is very good with Hezbollah, does not like them. And I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long, and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody. Because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it. And I didn't like Syria. I didn't like where 2 hours before we signing the agreement that there was an attack in Beirut. It wasn't like in the southern side, it was in Beirut. I did not like that. I didn't like it, not at all. But I think that Syria, he's pulled that country together amazingly quickly. He's very capable. And he's been very good for me. He's protected everything that I've asked for. He's done. And if Israel can't do the job without killing everyone else, he'll do the job. Syria will do the job. No. They have a great relationship. We're talking about some end details. I didn't like that he did an attack based on there was a very minor little thing with some drones that were in this, and he ends up I saw that attack. I saw where that bomb went. Did you see what that was audacious. That was too much. You can do too much also. But we've got a very effective relationship. Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a great country. It was a country where you had professors, doctors, lawyers. The great intellect was in Lebanon. Now it's terrible. I would say of all countries, they've been treated the worst. And they can't defend themselves. And they have Hezbollah, which is a problem. So, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal. And that's the deal with Iran. when you ask me about Bibi, an unbelievable relationship. But Israel would have been blown up a long time ago had I not gotten involved. Two things I did. I terminated the Iran nuclear deal. Barack Hussein Obama sold out Israel for Iran. He went to Iran. He sold them all. Now anybody can vote for this guy or the party. The Democrats, I think, because they're dumb. They're dumb people. That's number one. How anybody can vote for them. And the second was the B-2 bombers. Just totally destroyed. So they have the right. They're the JCPOA. I watch these politicians. I watch a senator read that nobody ever heard the other day. Well, this deal is the same as the deal with Barack Obama. No. This deal was a war for a nuclear weapon. His deal was a road to a nuclear weapon. My deal, they can't have a nuclear. They get blown up. If they have a nuclear weapon, they get blown up. In his deal, they were allowed to have a nuclear weapon. And in all fairness to Bibi, I remember very well, Bibi came to Washington and he begged Obama not to make that deal. And Obama was on the side of Iran, not Israel. And he made the deal. That deal was a disaster. I terminated that deal. And if I didn't terminate, and it was very tough after the termination, and if I didn't do that, Howard knows better than anybody. If I didn't terminate that deal, I believe that Israel wouldn't be here right now. And the second one was what we did with respect to the nuclear justice sector. Right? We blew it up. The mountain collapsed. And you can't get to it. And they were 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel, and I hate to say it, and probably the rest of the Middle East, because they have all those missiles aimed at the Emir, at Saudi Arabia, at UAE, at Kuwait, at Bahrain. I mean, the biggest surprise in this whole thing, I didn't think he'd ask me. I thought he would aim at Israel. But he didn't aim at Israel, much less. He aimed at your countries. And actually that was a mistake for them because it brought us, these countries, in particular the 5 countries, it brought us, I mean, he put it, Turkey, oops, I never understood it. Nobody's going to understand it. That's the problem. They're totally irrational people. And those people are now gone. And I think Iran has irrational leadership. But you would have, if it weren't for the United States of America, with me, because Obama was the opposite, Israel would not exist. Israel would have been blown off the face of the earth, 100%. And every smart person in Israel is. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.